KKHT wants you to meet three of the classiest guys in real estate.
I am Chris Kelso, the maestro of mortgage.
I am Rob Cook, the godfather of real estate.
And I'm Joe Orsack, the king of credit swing. And together, we're
the Real Estate Rat Pack.
Much like us, real estate right now is smoking hot. So whether it's buying, selling, or owning, you need to check out the Real Estate Rat Pack.
They're here to take your calls and answer your questions live. Call now, 1-800-808-5548. And now, the Real Estate Rat Pack.
Good morning.
I've had my coffee. I'm ready to go.
I've had my kolaches.
Kolaches,
and,
yes. Some fantastic
kolaches and donuts, courtesy of Gina
Thank you.
Devers from Devers Delivers.
Yes, she's stunt doubling for Rob today.
That is correct. At
Thank
least
you.
he sends us just an incredible person to fill in for him.
Aw, thank you
just
so
incredible.
much.
As sexy as Rob is, I think she has him beat.
Thank you.
I would tend to agree with you right there.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I
You know,
look
we
better
have
in
a
a
great
dress
show.
anyway.
Mustache
for
just
today.
throws it for me.
Mustache really does. Mustache,
Yeah, true.
Well, it is Movember.
Movember.
Yes.
Movember. I'm hip and trendy. I'm in on these things
Movember
now.
or Movember?
You've educated me
I think
yesterday.
I think it's
This-
Movember. Yeah, it's Mustache November.
Mustache
So,
November.
Rather than wearing the pink ribbon for breast cancer awareness and all those sort of things,
Right.
guys, we're showing our solidarity by growing out facial hair. That's our way of standing together for men's health against prostate cancer, testicular cancer, etc. So I am growing out my beard for Movember.
Well,
Never
the
had one,
one
in
thing
fact.
I will tell you about me is I can't grow a beard. I can't grow any facial hair. I let it go for 3 weeks, and I'll still look almost like this, by the way. So,
Wow.
yeah,
Very
it's pretty
nice.
crazy. So,
My
Do a
hair
little
grows like
laser over there?
overnight. It's just lazy hair. It says, nah, the top, not so much.
well,
Ears and face, we're down with that, but that's way too much work to go up there.
Did you say ears?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
like those random hairs that you're like, why? What is
Yes.
that doing there? You're shaving one day and there's like a 16-inch long hair on your, like, how did that happen?
And who gets the pleasure of getting rid of that?
Oh, me.
What's going on? Okay, I was going to
yeah,
say.
Yeah.
And, we have a great show in plan. Speaking of
Speaking of
November,
nightmares.
we have Movember. Because, obviously one of the things we're talking about today is real estate nightmares. And, we're talking about it in a very good form. What we really want to talk about, we have some great guests today. We have Happy Median in the house. We have A1 Movers. A1 Best Movers.
Not just A1 movers, but
Not
A1
A1 Best
Movers.
Movers. He wants to
Right.
emphasize that they're not only number one, and they start off with A.
We were going to have A1 movers on, and then wait a minute.
There has to be
Wait a
somebody
minute.
better.
Hold up.
Best. We want
There's
the
a
best.
best movers.
There's a
So we
best
have to go with that
person
one.
on there. And then we have Pulte in the house as well. So, Pulte Best Homes.
Yes,
I
Pulte
like
Best
that
Homes.
right there.
Absolutely.
Pulte Best Homes. So, it's all about real estate nightmares, but really it's about talking about everything that individuals want to know about moving into the city, about buying a great home with Pulte, and about fixing up that home that you might be in, especially after you buy a Pulte home a couple of years. You need to do some things, work with it. Great thing to move on with. We want to hear from you as always. You can call us at 800-808-5548. That's 800-808-5548. We're a live show, so we take all your phone calls all the time. So, with that being said, who are we going to start off with today, Joe?
We're going to start off with the best mover in town.
The best mover,
David?
A1 Best Movers.
Grab a mic and introduce yourself, buddy.
Well, thank you for having me here. I understand we do a bang-up job. That's why probably we're here. But,
We are kind of selected like that.
But
I
A1
wouldn't,
Best
I wouldn't
Movers.
say bang up.
Bang up.
Movers
Oh,
and
okay.
bang up. No.
Okay,
no.
dang,
No. You're careful and you
Okay.
wrap
We
everything
do a
nicely.
very fast, efficient, careful job. We don't bang anything.
Yes.
But A1 Best Movers, we're a
Carefully wrapped the
family-owned
bang-up
business
job.
there, and we're in Pearland, Texas, and been servicing the community for well over 10 years.
Awesome. Well, you are correct. The Real Estate Rat Pack, we are a fun, silly group, and you have to be a little bit crazy to get up at 9 in the morning to be on air. It's more like get up at 6, if you're coming from Humble. But anyway, while we're a group that has a lot of fun and we're silly and all that sort of thing, we do only bring on the best in the industry. So
Great.
You guys are in an elite crowd. So anyway, when we're talking about today, we're talking about nightmares that can happen in the real estate industry, and we have some very diverse topics or diverse groups today, guys on the show today to talk about this. Specifically, we want to talk about you're preparing to move. You've been in that home for however long. You're wrapping up all your special knickknacks and et cetera, I'm sure there are some nightmare scenarios that can happen in there. Do you have any crazy stories?
Well, there's plenty of crazy stories that could probably bore everybody here, but it's actually good timing because we've had some moves this week that actually movers did not show up. And, that's the rogue mover that we hear about. They're not licensed, they're not bonded, and they're not a reputable company. And we had several customers this week that we offered same-day service and, took care of that customer.
Wow.
But, yeah, so it's...
So you actually get folks that call who schedule a mover. They have this finely orchestrated process that is getting all that loaded up to go, and they just don't show up.
Yeah, they don't show up, and then they're in a panic. They have to be out of the home by 5 o'clock, and whatever. Realtors are on them, and many different things. It impacts many people, and then the stress level's already there with that whole process. But we took away the stress for the 3 customers this week.
So when the mover told them they were going to be there between 8 and 10, they meant 8th and the 10th.
Maybe the 8 and 10 of December or something, but...
we have a 3-day window.
Yeah. You actually did
Show
that
up.
for one of my clients about a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Her husband was overseas.
Oh, great.
And similar, she was there, had 2 little babies.
Mm-hmm.
And we called everybody and their brother trying to get assistance, and your company actually saved her.
Absolutely. That's awesome.
You pushed a couple things around and actually came in because of her situation.
It was a little challenging, and I really, the credit goes to our employees. I wasn't really. It was a tough sell, but they understand that it's a synergy between all of us. That they have to service our clients in a proper manner and take care of our realtors that refer us, and that referral base. It takes care of the client.
What I appreciated most is you didn't upcharge because of the urgency.
Yeah.
You didn't take advantage of my client because there was no other option for her.
Yeah.
And that speaks volumes of your character.
Well, we have a client that we're actually moving this morning, and she called me in a panic. The mover didn't show up, and et cetera, and she was going to shop around because she wanted to move that in a window we just could not accommodate. So I told her, I said, look, you look around, shop around, do not tell all these moving companies that you're in a bind, because there are some that are going to take advantage of you. It's a tough industry, and there's many service industries that probably have their horror stories, but in our industry in particular, it's sometimes very tough on customers.
And that's a very interesting thing. Yesterday I was doing my continuing education in the mortgage industry, and one of the things we obviously talk about every year is ethics.
Exactly.
Big thing associated with that. And that's a big part of that right there. The whole thing about doing business is to do business ethically. And so a lot of times people say, well, is it a business decision to do an upcharge, charge more to do things fast? And no. A business decision is to do the right thing for your client.
Exactly.
It's if you can make the business happen, make it happen. There's no reason to sit there and have to charge something above and beyond or an exorbitant fee, et cetera, to make that happen.
Well, there's rates that we have to file with Texas DOT. It's called a tariff that we have to file. A lot of consumers don't know about this, and they just assume that the mover's bonded, insured, and licensed. And sometimes it's price-driven. We're not I guess probably the cheapest round, but we're reasonably priced. They just have to do some homework, legwork there to really make sure they get in the right mover at their home.
And that's a good question right there I wanted to ask you is, in regards to that, what are some of the licensing requirements in the state of Texas? You mentioned obviously there's a tariff, but what are some of those licensing requirements?
Well, you have to be obviously bonded. You have to carry a minimum carrier liability of cargo coverage of $5,000. $5,000 is not going to cover much nowadays for people's furnishings. We carry 50, and that's per truck. General liability is not required by the state, but we do carry a $1 million policy with Farmers Insurance there in Pearland. He takes care of us. And then there's your licensing and then filing your tariff with TxDOT. Your charges for everything from long carry to packing to cost of boxes and et cetera, so that there's some, legitimacy in terms of how you're quoting things and pricing people. Yeah.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. One of the things that we all sort of have in our industry are things that are very easy to do, but then we also have, when we talk about nightmares, we talk a little bit about what are the things that have happened to you that you've been able to overcome that maybe some other moving companies haven't. Not only the speed in which you do it, but, valuables or the way you transport certain items, et cetera, et cetera. What are some of the things you've seen in there?
Well, there's exclusions, obviously, that we can't transport, and our men are trained. For instance, we don't transport jewelry. We have moved a jewelry business before, but jewelry, personal items, and personal items can be anything from undergarment to medication and to the iPod. We just don't transport those things. It's best to have things properly packed. boxes sealed, clearly labeled, and just to have a lot of good dialogue with the mover, the lead man in the job.
Are you worried the panties might get damaged?
No, we don't. It's just, and that's something just a personal preference. We do packing services as well, but we just assume not mess with people's personal items. We'll put a box together and let them take care of that. Yeah.
As a mover, what are some of the tough things that are?
I think tough thing for guys is cat hair. We get to a
cat hair. Oh my
we get to a home or the Labrador. There's it's a clean home, but then we move the couch and there's Bigfoot or Sasquatch of hair underneath that couch, or they grab the couch and then now they've got a cat hair front of A1 Best Mover shirt. It's just
wow. I'm telling you now, that would totally be my house.
Yeah.
I have 2 cats and a border collie.
Oh wow.
And I sweep up a small, goat of hair, like every day.
Exactly.
It's mind-boggling. Where does all this hair come from?
But what we'll do with things like that,
it's not on my head, that's for sure.
We'll shrink wrap things up. We'll just get it prepared, and we work around those things. And obviously, sometimes we come to moves and it's not said what was on the phone, or not accurate what was given us an online quote, or things like that. Sometimes that can be a little bit of a challenge.
So you have an online quote system where they put
Absolutely.
in like number of items they're moving?
Very user-friendly, and the customer does not see this, but when they enter all their information, origin and destination, and then size and move, there's a longer portion there in the form that breaks it down by bedroom, select all the items they have, etc. And then in turn, that comes back to us in a cube feet or cube measurement, because each truck holds about 1,300 cubic feet. So we see something that comes back to our office online that's 1,500 or 1,800 cubic feet. Well, we know we need another truck and we need another man, that kind of thing. So it helps us just staff accordingly and show up with the right equipment.
Talk about what most consumers are worried about if there's any damaged material. And obviously, you're very careful. This is your career. 95% of most businesses, small businesses like us, are referral based. But when something is damaged, talk about that. Most consumers are worried or concerned.
Well, we do offer additional insurance, and there's additional insurance. There's 2 types of insurance you can purchase. There's full replacement coverage, and then there's also depreciated value coverage. It is at a premium, and I tell customers that up front, and it's best to even shop it online. There's Beacons and several other online places, movinginsurance.com, that are a little bit more competitive than what we could offer. But the minimum carrier liability is 60 cents per pound per article for loss or damage, and that's for anything. So it's minimal. But if there's something that's small, nicked, or scratched, we're not going to hide behind that. If we did it, we're going to fix it and just move forward.
We're coming up already on a break. It's just mind-boggling how fast this goes by. Yeah. So real quick, for a customer to avoid nightmare scenarios,
just call us.
Like movers. Okay, well, that's done.
That's easy. Just call A1 Best Movers.
Easiest way to look at it right there.
What are some of the questions that someone who's looking at moving can ask? We always say you don't know what you don't know.
Well, a mover will tell you, that the rogue mover, they'll tell you anything on the phone there to get that business. But you can ask them to produce a copy of their cargo coverage, ask them to produce a TxDOT certificate that shows that they're licensed. And then when they show up to your residence, ask them to produce a Texas DOT cab card. That ensures that they're licensed, bonded, and insured with the state of Texas, and licensed to operate. So if they don't have a cab card in their truck, well, they'll be on the news.
Gotcha. It's one of those things where I don't know if everybody thinks about those kind of things, but that's an important thing to do. We're already up on a break. My gosh, it's crazy how this flies by.
When you're having fun.
Give us a call, 800-808-5548. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
Especially when you do the Continental.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show with Chris, Joe, and Rob. The crew is taking your calls, so dial in at 1-800-808-5548.
And welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Show. Man, time flies when you're having fun, especially that first segment.
Holy
real
cow.
estate nightmares, let me tell you. And let me tell you what's not a nightmare. What's not a nightmare is buying a new home with Pulte Homes.
There we go.
I think it's important to know that.
A nice tie-in.
Now, let me tell you, with that being said, we have Pulte Homes in the studio right now.
What a coincidence. What a coincidence. Almost like that was planned.
It was almost planned right there, right? Just a very, very, very good thing right there. Now, one of the things we always like to do is we always like to bring in, as you mentioned earlier in the show, we like to bring in experts to talk about everything associated with A to Z of home ownership, buying, owning, or selling homes. In this case, we want to really talk about, in the real estate nightmare theme, we want to bring in one of the good builders, one of the great builders here in the Houston area. We have Paul. Paul, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Appreciate being here.
Oh, thank you very much. For all those who don't know, because there's a lot of home builders out there, let us know a little bit about Pulte, if you don't mind.
Well, great question. I appreciate it. Pulte Homes been in business since 1950, so we've been here for 63 years. One of the largest national builders in the United States, selling and closing close to 20,000 homes a year. So it's a big, reputable company, a lot of stability behind it, 29 states, over 60 major markets. So,
wow. So it's a small company.
Yeah.
Small company.
That's growing.
Yeah, exactly.
Keep a strong, stiff upper lip, and
Yeah.
You'll get bigger.
You'll get bigger, right?
29 states. Holy cow.
Yeah, I think one of the things for our success, though, is we have that homeowner for life mentality where we do have 3 brands under Pulte Group. So it's Centex Homes, it's Pulte Homes, and it's Del Webb as well. So we've got a little bit for everybody out there, whether you're the first-time buyer, that active adult who just wants to now retire in that lifestyle.
And you're right, by the way. I mean, one of the things people don't realize is those 3 different brands. Obviously, Centex has been around for a long time. Pulte has been around for a long time. And your Del Webb community you have out in the Richmond area is absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, it really is.
I mean, just, it's an over 55 community, really, really nice, a lot of amenities, a lot of things they do. In fact, I've learned a lot in going in and into some of those communities about some of the active lifestyles over 55 in which they're doing in some of those things. I think that's really, really neat.
Yeah, it's really cool, and it's unique here to Houston. We have over 21 of those in the United States, but here in Houston we've got 24,000-foot clubhouse and over 60 different clubs for probably right now 250 to 300 closed homeowners.
Wow.
And it's really cool because they get to experience the lifestyle that they wanted to enjoy and meet people of like-minded interests.
Absolutely.
And just go play.
Right?
Yeah.
I've always known Pulte as being also a very good builder for new homeowners that are out there, individuals who are looking at either buying into a new home and or move up homeowners as well. Individuals who want to move up into the new lifestyles they get. Now, not necessarily over 55,
right,
but just move up into some of the larger homes. You build in a lot of communities here in the Houston area.
Chris, say, Rob is out of town playing. I mean, I think working.
I think playing was correct.
on the beach having fruity drinks.
And he's on the line. I think he's on the line. We're going to try to patch him in real quick so you can say hello.
You're
Rob,
kidding.
Rob, are you there?
I am here.
We managed to get you through.
Oh my gosh,
Good
are you
morning.
up?
I'm up. I got up here at about 6 o'clock, getting ready for the show. I always call in when I'm out of town, and so I try not to miss a show ever. So I'm in San Francisco for the National Association of Realtors Convention. I have a directors meeting. I'm an NAR director, so I'll be here through Monday morning, and then I'm flying back home. But I do want to kind of tie in with what you're talking about, because I've sold Pulte Homes in the past, and they have always been a phenomenal company to deal with. Things don't always go perfect, but it's how people address issues makes a difference between a great company and an okay company. I'm so happy that you're on today.
I appreciate it, Rob. Thank you.
And, of course, if you were a wine connoisseur, I'm in the mother country now. And so,
Italy.
We won't
Italy
see
is
you
the
for a
mother
few
country.
days? Is that what you're saying?
I've arrived in Mecca, but I've already been to some great restaurants and going to another one tonight and hanging out with some really great real estate people.
Outstanding. Well, you're missed on the show today, Rob.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. I'm not going to interfere. I'm going to let Pulte continue with their segment because these segments do go quickly. I just wanted to call in. I'm going to hang on the line for a while just to listen, but y'all have a great show.
Outstanding. Well, thanks for calling in, Rob.
Have fun.
Yeah.
I wanted to dovetail onto that as well. We purchased a Pulte home in Indianapolis, and it is nice to see the process and the service is very similar. Obviously, market to market, it's different, but to know that the company as a whole treats the clients and the process the same throughout, there's a lot of consistency. And in a new build, obviously, it's human hands. Mistakes can happen. Things always come up. There's not a perfect build, but the way that you handle it and the way that there's corrections made, it's it's phenomenal. You keep not only the agent involved, but the client involved. It's explained fully. It's a weather delay. The delay is this reason. You go into such detail that it is a calming and a very professional explanation, so everybody is at ease instead of putting a wall up and no communication where it makes everybody upset. It is a very good product, and it's also a very easy sell.
I appreciate that. And like Chris had alluded to earlier, doing the right thing and service. That's what we're all about, because it's sticks and bricks out there. It's so competitive here in the Houston marketplace. To really differentiate ourselves, it's the service, that customer service, the quality of the service. And we pride ourselves on the expectation setting. We pride ourselves in the communication from the time they sign a purchase agreement to even 12 months after they close, and then deliver on those expectations. So we've put some processes in place we call the 7-step process, where we're inviting our homeowners out to sit down for a pre-construction meeting before we even start the home. They sit with their superintendent, their builder, their sales professional, and just go over all that paperwork, because you're right, things are missed. So we allow our homeowners an opportunity to personalize their home. They go to the design center and choose how they want to appoint their home. And so sometimes things get missed, and so those are some of the nightmares out there. But we have processes in place that we make sure we mitigate that risk.
Exactly.
And then we invite them back out for a formal meeting with our field manager as well before we even hang the drywall.
What do you think is, from the customer side, the greatest cause of dissatisfaction or whatever? If a customer was sitting down for the building process, so you don't know what questions to ask sometimes. Right?
No doubt.
And those are the things that lead to the nightmare.
Absolutely.
For both sides. As a builder, you're going, hey, we headed down this road because this is what you had communicated. And the customer's going, I didn't know what to communicate. Right? So from the customer side, what are some of the good questions that they should ask of their builder to get to that end product that they love?
Great question. I think the biggest thing, they've got to do their research. Right now, people are out there doing research. They start on the internet 92, 93% of the time. There's so many choices and opportunities out there, and these buyers are going on this emotional roller coaster. They don't know who to believe, who they like, or even more importantly, who to trust.
Right.
Because as you know, salespeople are going to do and say anything to sell a home. So there's that trust issue that we've got to get through. So we really speak to our service and document it and look someone in the eye and tell them what they can expect if they purchase a Pulte home with us. And that's the biggest thing.
And what you're saying is actually very true. One of the things we talk about all the time is the internet drives a lot of people to find people, right? But it's not a good mechanism to negotiate price or the best service, right? The best way to do that is to sit down, as you mentioned right there. And we talk about it all the time. Somebody calls me up and says, what's your rate? And I say, is that the only thing you're interested in? Because if that's the case, I'm not the guy for you.
Absolutely.
Because there's a lot of other things associated with getting a mortgage.
Yeah.
Same thing with buying a Pulte home.
Yeah.
If they call you up and say, can you offer me XYZ price per square foot? Probably the right client for you.
Right.
Because that's not what Pulte does. Pulte is into sitting down. It's into, going through the process, talking about that process. And so one of the nightmares I always say is all those individuals, I love the internet. I love technology. I love social media. Know how to utilize that to enhance the personalization that you want to ultimately get to versus as a replacement of the personalization that you think it could become. Right. And that's one of the things that I see as a nightmare for me sometimes is, they want to utilize everything as a hands-off approach. And I know in the building side, it's obviously one of those things is they have to be hands-on and you have to set those expectations. And if they want that quality of service, if they want that follow-up, they want that sales rep from Pulte, that's what they're going to get. They're going to get all that good experience and all that what I call palms to palms type approach.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, because we're set up where our team is calling our customers once a week and just kind of setting expectations and giving them time frames. And if we do have something that was missed, absolutely, we communicate that.
I didn't buy a new home. The last home I bought was pre-owned home.
Mm-hmm. Used.
Pre-owned home.
Pre-owned.
A used home.
And Rob's not here to bother you.
Yes, and Rob's not here to give me a hard time about saying a used. So, but I was good, Rob. I said pre-owned. Anyway, we went and looked at houses, and literally the first house we looked at, we knew was going to be the house we wanted. We went and looked at a ton of other ones after that, and we ended up going back to the first house that we already knew was the one anyway. But so I didn't know in that process. I didn't have the experience of sitting down with someone and building a house. Next house I do is going to be a new house. I've looked at pros and cons on both sides, and I think with the technology, just in our house was built in 91, and that doesn't sound like that long ago. But technology has changed so dramatically in houses and how they're built and all that sort of thing, and energy efficiency.
No doubt.
It just blows my mind at some of the people that talk about the size of the house that they have and their electricity bills and stuff. I'm like, holy cow, I paid like 3 times more than that.
Yeah.
And the cost of overcoming that, it's my return on that investment in putting 30 new windows in my house at $300 a pop, or whatever or more. I'm like, it's astronomical. So I have to look at those sort of things. I'm probably going to go new the next time around. I go back and forth, but in that
There's
process,
a great home builder here in the studio, by the way.
Absolutely.
in their sales process, do you find sitting down with somebody when they're talking about features, do you guys bring up things like, again, you don't know what questions to ask? So now it's more about lifestyle and what kind of lifestyle people want to have. We're on a break. He's playing the music to shut me up. Wow! Time flew. Okay, well, it'll be a good segue to finish with that thought. What questions you asked for establishing a lifestyle for the customer.
Well,
it'll be a good segue into building.
Yeah, one of the nice things that we do is you're able to personalize your home with the new home. So that's the biggest thing. You buy a used home, you get it is as is, personalize a new home, and customize it the way you want it.
Gotcha. Well, we're already up against the break, and we've got to run. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
I can make the ring go anytime I move my finger.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show with Chris, Joe, and Rob. The crew is taking your calls, so dial in at 1-800-808-5548.
And we need to have Sigmund follow us around, and every time when Rob's out, it says, "And Gina!"
Yes!
We always talk about how awesome that voice is, man. He's definitely in the right career.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, I wanted to follow up with one last thing with Pulte. Definitely, as a real estate professional, it is also great to have a building partner that puts the client first. There's many, many builders out there that will tell clients that walk in, oh no, we can get you a better deal without an agent. Pulte is actually one that embraces representation for the buyer. They want that buyer to be represented. They want that buyer to have someone helping them through the entire process, to make sure that there's someone in their corner. Not that Pulte's not, they are, but it's totally different having a salesperson that's helping you out rather than someone that has a fiduciary duty that is going through and has gone through every step of the way multiple times and knows what to ask and knows what to watch for and knows where some of the tricky parts are to be able to ease their concerns. And I really respect that about Pulte. And they never, ever go to the standard, oh, well, we can get you a better deal if you don't use a realtor. They never do that.
I appreciate you bringing that up because we really respect the relationship that we have with our realtor partners. We need them. We really do. We rely on them, their expertise, the trust that they've been able to build with their customers. And if you look at what we've done in Houston, 1,000 sales and closings this past year, 720 of them were co-broke with realtors. So, I mean, that just speaks volumes to the relationships that we have. You're right. Some builders out there will pay salespeople commission differently if it's a realtor sale or not. They will give better deals to customers if there's a realtor or not, because there is that cost to do business. But we know that cost is valued and worth every penny that we pay. So we have a great relationship with the realtor community.
Well, our next guest, I was talking about windows and replacing windows and the cost of that, and he was giving me the evil eye when I was talking about just getting a new home instead. So
that's called the stink eye.
The stink eye, yeah. He was giving
Are you talking about me? I don't know what you're talking about.
So he may have a differing opinion on those windows. I need new windows. I do. I hate my windows. I hate them. And I'm looking at that bill of replacing them, going, oh gosh,
that's a mighty strong word.
I do. They're single pane. I mean, it's like I could cook a hot dog on the window, in summertime. It's just ridiculous. And that's one of those things where it's like, I'm out and about. I do seminars and classes on credit all the time, and I work with a lot of builders around town, and I'm in these new houses all the time. And I'll know this house is selling for 250. I'm like 200. This is like crazy better than my house, and it's not that much more. So it's amazing how far technology has come along in that. And one of those things is windows. That's like a hot button for me because I have the cheap. I was going to say builder grade.
Oh my gosh!
Now I'm getting stink eye from another person in the room.
Nightmares on radio.
Yes.
Oh man.
Oh, that is a.
They were.
term that
I'm
we use a
sure they were in '92. I'm sure they were the latest and greatest things, but they're definitely not now. They're horrible windows.
Yeah, there's a lot to choose from top to bottom. Inside and out, finishes, and everything else that changed dramatically over the last few decades, and technology has come a long way.
Do you guys do a lot of Windows stuff?
We do, but
I'm just throwing you on the spot here.
There's a lot of companies out there that
specialize in Windows.
Window replacement.
Yeah.
Did you actually do an introduction? I don't think you.
No,
holy cow! Our guest.
I'm terrible now as a host.
Well, I do know Chris. I've seen Chris before, so it's good to see Chris again.
Likewise. That is Adam Brittain. He is with Happy Medium. He is a very, very good home remodeler. And as we tell everybody is, one of the things, speaking about nightmares, one of the things, if you don't know a good remodeler out there, it can be a nightmare to have to go through, an enhancement that you're doing, whether it be a kitchen or a bathroom or any type of add-on to your home. And let me tell you, you've always had raving reviews from all your clientele.
Well, thank you for saying that.
And you have a very good reputation out here. Let us know a little bit about that. Let's talk about again, some of the real estate nightmares that we see. What are you seeing as some of the topics that people are most interested in improving or changing about their home? And what are some of the challenges sometimes that they present along the way?
Well, if I may kind of speak from an ideal standpoint, because a lot of our clientele are repeat customers or referrals. So that's mostly the business that we do, which is ideal. So I'm coming from a really good place.
Right.
So trying to speak about the nightmares, a lot of times it has to do with people's, ignorance, if I may. Just they haven't had the experience of owning a home, so they don't really know what to do. So they ask around, relatives, friends, things like that. But then ultimately it boils down to their budget. And so these are the first conversations we have. What is your budget and what are you trying to accomplish? And so the challenge of making those two meet in the middle and making sense out of that's where the nightmare begins. Because
essentially, you're trying to find a happy medium.
I want
yes.
$10,000 upgrade for $3,000.
Right. I mean, if you don't know what the price is, because there was one time this young lady, probably just out of college, and she had a townhome right off of San Felipe, I believe. And she wanted to replace the tub. And so when that complex was originally built, the tubs were installed when the framing was still going on, which that's the process. The tub is one of the first things that goes in. So they built the whole place around the tub. She's like, well, how long is this going to take? A couple days? And so it's like, no, I mean, we got to cut this tub out of here. We've got to investigate these walls. This building's, 40, 50 years old. We got to see what's going on and then put it all back together and know it's not going to take 2 days and cost, $5,000. Yeah, right. So, there's
because I got $500 to invest, and I'm looking to get this tub done.
Yeah, townhomes you can buy them for pretty inexpensive. So
and that includes the tub.
Yes. But there are the challenges to me are because trust is a huge topic here in everybody's business. But trying to develop trust, and so saying to somebody, like, this is the money that you have to spend, and this is what you're trying to accomplish, so let's really talk about what that means.
I would absolutely agree. And, one of the things I think it's a good thing we've all spoken about right here is, engaging with somebody with an open, honest conversation. I tell everybody is you're never, ever going to fail if you have a clear line of communication and you talk about what it takes to make it happen. Where you are going to have failure, though, is if it's not clearly spoken. The other thing I tell everybody is mistakes happen all the time. Own up to them.
Exactly.
And I tell everybody, no matter what you do, I tell you, I respect somebody, and I do the same. Is mistake is making, I made a mistake. I apologize, right? Let's move forward. Let's see what we can do from this moment forward, because sometimes things do happen. And the one thing I think that sometimes happens, especially within real estate, within home remodeling, within new home purchases, within moving, etc., is if a mistake makes, the human reaction is, how can I defend myself? And a lot of times the reaction really needs to be is acknowledgement, and then how can we move on for satisfaction right there?
Yeah.
I mean,
years ago, to tie in, something that brilliant a friend of mine said, and it really kind of impacted me throughout life.
I appreciate that.
Did I say
it? It was like 20-odd years ago, and me and a high school friend went to a concert, and it was a concert that had just a whole slew of insanely gifted musicians. And there was two different guitar players, and one of them played a solo, and it was amazing, and the other one played a guitar solo. And only to really a music aficionado would you notice that he had a flub and how he recovered after that. And we were out walking in the parking lot. I said, they were both amazing, but I think the first guy was better. And this genius, musician friend of mine who went on to get a master's degree in music and plays like 800 instruments and all this sort of thing, said, he goes, technically you're right. The first guy was better. He goes, but sometimes the genius isn't in executing it flawlessly. It's in how you recover. And I was like, wow, that is actually very profound, because, you can practice something and do it right. Great. You do it right the first time. It's wonderful. Everybody's happy, but mistakes happen. I mean, we're human. There's going to be the flub. It's unavoidable that it happens. It's how you recover from that flub that really shows the character of that person, their genius, if you will, and how they recover. That's where so many people fail. They may set out to do a good job, whatever else, and have the intention, and it's when the flub happens, facing that and owning up to it is when they flake out and disappear on you.
Right.
They may have had all the good intentions in the world to begin with, but that's where own it exactly.
Right.
I think that's one of the biggest things from a business owner's perspective, to find the people that are willing to say I was wrong, step up, and make it right. That's a beautiful thing to find.
And every once in a while, I have a subject matter that really, really entices you to speak a lot. So,
yes.
Well, I've got to say, my clients, there's times when they're on a very tight budget when they're buying a new home. So they'll purchase the home, and then in a couple years, they've saved enough money, and they want to change the standard product. They'll want to take off the counters and put granite in, or they'll want to put an outside kitchen or whatever. And the challenge is finding a good remodeler.
Right.
So what has happened a lot of times is they will shop price. They'll get somebody to go out and start a job, and then they won't finish it. So I try to educate my client.
That's a real nightmare.
Yes, it is.
Right, yes.
Or they will do such substandard work that you get out there and you just shake your head and say, what is going on? Yeah. So I try to educate them that it is quality that you're paying for, not just because look at what you've paid for. Now you're going to have to pay twice to get it done right.
That's a huge challenge. I
So,
mean, the thing that for a new builder like Pulte, they get to go in and they start from scratch and they build something new and they say, look, this is all shiny, and come in and buy it. And that's wonderful, but there's a different side of that where you've owned the home, you live there for a while, and you want to make modifications. Maybe you knew you wanted to make modifications before you even purchased it. That's fine. But the challenge is that, when you have a remodel, they tend to be a smaller company. We don't work in 26 countries and sell 20,000 units a year. So our name isn't going to be out there in the same way with that type of reputation. So a lot of times people go through referrals and they do searches online to find a remodeler. But what the real challenge is that people are so driven by their budget. So they have to be willing to have a serious discussion about the money that they have, the equity they have in their home, and the actual work that they want to do, and be realistic about it. Put a whole plan together, phase it out if you have to.
Exactly.
But get somebody that's going to be reputable and that I've never not finished a project. We finish all of our projects, and sometimes even to my own detriment. But you're going to get a great referral. You're going to get a very happy customer, and that's what you're looking for.
Exactly.
And, one of the things, we're coming up against a break again right now, but one of the things that I want to do as an open mic when we get back is a nightmare to me is when individuals use price as a decision-making criteria. because
price alone.
Price alone, because there's two sides of things, right? Number one is price is not an indication of it being the best. And also, pricing is not the best way to go and shop for something either. The cheapest isn't always the best either. You can end up paying more in the long term. So we're going against a break right now. When we come back, let's all talk about that if you don't mind.
A hole and a trap. I don't worry about the flights or count the stairs.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show with Chris, Joe, and Rob. The crew is taking your calls, so dial in at 1-800-808-5548.
And welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Show. We're going to, time flies when you're having fun, and now we're on the open mic section of the show in which we're going to throw out subject matters and have everybody sort of comment to it. And I wanted to sort of, we talked about the end of last segment, price not being a good indicator of success, whether it be the type of home you're buying, whether it be the quality of service you're going to get for your moving or the services you're looking, or your repairs, as far as your enhancements to your home. So, I want y'all to sort of talk about that. How do you overcome that? I mean, when somebody calls you, and we'll start over here with A1 Best, by the way, movers, A1 Best movers. But, how do you overcome something like that when someone calls up and says, I'm shopping for the cheapest mover out there?
Well, generally I'll tell them, well, we're probably not the cheapest mover, and there's things that go into operating our business. We're not a checkbook and a truck working out of our garage. There's a lot of things that are involved in that cost.
No, and I can imagine. And we talk about it all the time. Is price, on all sides of things, and this is what I always encourage everybody to do is know what you want. Know what you want. Do you prefer quality? Do you prefer speed? Because price isn't necessarily a deciding factor on everything we do. Just I look at my time. We talk about rates. Rates shouldn't be a deciding factor. If everyone's good at what they do, rates wise, then you should then you should be looking at other factors associated with it. And you
if I can say so real quick, write 3 words on a page. One of them's price, one of them's quality, and one of them's time.
Yeah,
you have to give up one of those.
Right. And that's a very good thing of doing. Price, quality, time. I think almost everybody in life is going to choose quality as their number one priority associated with anything you do. That's my personal opinion, right?
I would think the same thing, but you asked that question,
yes,
and people usually say quality and price.
Really?
Time. People have more time than they have the other two.
Wow.
But if you turn it around on the client and you ask that same client, would you take the pay cut? Are your services what you do for your employer?
I've definitely approached that before. It's sensitive because what if you have a doctor, what if you're with a lawyer or engineer, or they work for a very, very large firm, and they're kind of detached from that rate.
Right.
So that's a challenging thing to approach, but certainly it's something I think about all the time because time is money. And there's a lot that goes on into such a project because you're taking away and then you're adding to.
Right.
So there's effort, which is money.
Right.
Taking away, and then we're going to add all these nice things to your residence.
Absolutely. And Pulte, let's talk about this because I know a lot of times people, I see this all the time, by the way, people want to tend to compare builders just like appraisals, right? Price per square foot.
Right.
This builder can build it for $95 per square foot. Why are you charging me $105 per square foot? And that's not a good indicator.
No.
I tell everybody all the time, that's not the right way to shop for a property because it's not the way it's truly appraised out there. What happens in that market obviously is a lot different. The way you go about selling service and quality isn't based on a price per square foot.
Yeah, and service is a huge component of this sale. However, probably even more important when you think about this is one of the probably top 3 most important emotional and influential decisions you'll ever make.
Right.
This is a huge investment. Whether you're a first-time buyer with $100,000 or you're investing $1 million, this is a life changer for most people. Not only is this home where you're going to build memories for the next 10, 15 years, your daughter's going to walk down on her prom.
Right.
But where you purchase this home and who you purchase it from and the quality of it is going to determine where your family grows up and who's influenced by.
Right.
So, this is a big deal. This isn't just about service. It's the quality of the workmanship, the quality of the product for resale, for that investment, but also real estate's all about location. And every builder is going to maximize their profitability.
Right.
We're going to try to get the most money we can, and the market really tells you if you're priced right. So if you're shopping for this investment, you don't want to buy from Walmart when you're investing in a home.
And, and you're right about one thing, and I will tell you this. Most people don't realize is when you buy today, most people say, okay, well, I got this brand new home, et cetera. What you have to do is buy, as you mentioned, though, for a longer period. Because let me tell you, 3, 5, 7, 10 years from now, when you're having to make repairs, when all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, the pipe busted, or whatever it might be out there, it's the quality of who you bought it from and how they stand behind their product that actually is going to predicate the homeowner's success and the livelihood and the joy you get out of it. It's not necessarily that first moment. It's that longer period of time, and that's why you have to go with somebody like Pulte, who really offers that long-term homeowner experience, in my personal opinion.
And for legal disclaimers, so Walmart doesn't sue us, that was not meant as a shot against Walmart. So.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. We love the Walmart.
Right. Yeah. But for the people out there looking for a new home, just check it out. Check out the warranties. Right now, Pulte Homes, we're 1, 2, 5, 10 tops in the business. And so we're there to stay. Like I said before, we've been in business since 1950, 60 markets, 20,000 times a year. We're closing happy homeowners. So do your research.
Right.
So here's
You're
a question.
definitely doing something right.
Here's a question for each of you guys. I like to really focus on this because we have a repeated theme on the show, what you don't know can hurt you, right? It's not that the questions are hard questions. It's knowing what questions to ask to begin with. And if you don't know what questions to ask, that's where so many nightmares can come in. So if for each of you guys, if there was something that you wish your customers knew coming to the table that would save them a lot of headaches or whatever else, that's one of the common things that come up. Is there something that you try to educate your potential customers or customers on to save them some of those headaches? And what what our listeners benefit by knowing those?
And don't everybody answer at once.
Well,
they're currently arm wrestling for the mic.
Well, I see a lot of rings on the finger in the studio. So, when you have a married couple, then that is, we'll just start from there because that's a good place.
Why'd you look at me? He's looking at me like it's the girl. It's the girl.
Because you have two people to consider. So what is on your wish list? What do you want to make improvements? Because usually, let's stereotype this, woman, they're going to work on the finishes, the pretty part of the build, whether it's new construction or remodeling or whatever. And then the guy just needs his man room or man cave or something like that, somewhere to put his stereo, his guitar, honey, you take care of this. That's fine, but establish that from the beginning and make a list together. Get together on this. This is what we want to do, and this is how we'd like to go about it. And you've got to work as a team because when you go into and talk to a salesperson or you talk to a builder or designer or architect, you need to be on the same page together so you can work together throughout the entire process. And how stable your relationship is going to determine how successful the entire project's going to be. So, if you got some personal issues, work them out. Work them out
before the remodeling.
Before you go to that, because the real nightmare is when somebody remodels their home, or they move, or they get a new job and they do it all in the same year and ask how many successful marriages you have after that.
Right. He said move again. What I'd love to do.
I didn't move. I said move.
I would love to be sales for your company because it'd be so cool to be able to say, okay, we need to find a happy medium here, okay, guys? You need to find a happy medium
believe it or not,
here.
rarely I ever say that, and the challenge is to get everybody else to say it and me not say it at all. So.
Well, so far with Chris, you're doing a great job.
You're doing a great job with me so far,
yet.
absolutely. But how about from the moving side? To follow up on that question that he asked right there, what are some of the things you look at?
Well, I'd like the client to really just, the more information they provide us, it just helps us give them a more accurate estimate as to what kind of costs they'll be spending and just to make a better informed decision, make just for a good move experience. So the more information they give us, it just makes things all the happier.
You mean, calling on the phone and say, I need you to move 2 rooms when I really have 7 rooms?
We get the call all the time. It's, hey, I'm moving a 3-bedroom. I was like, well, what do you have? Oh, I have a couple of beds. And no, you don't have a couple of beds in a 3-bedroom. You have more stuff. So
Rob is on Facebook suggesting a new field of profession for our industry, real estate psychology.
Nice.
So
I can definitely speak to that. Can I tell one quick story? I went to see this couple. They're in the Heights. And the husband, they were newly married. He started on the project before she moved in, and they were 2 years into it, and he kind of finished the second floor, and the first floor was still, like, everything's ripped out. They got a makeshift kitchen and all that kind of stuff. and they never even had gone on a honeymoon yet. And so she's right here saying, nodding her head and, money, and he's tight and all kinds of stuff. And he's in the back of the room, like shaking his head. He's like, you should do this for a living. I mean, do you do marriage counseling? Like, no, I just, I'm a remodeler, but I speak to so many people, and the psychology, what goes on is very important. That kind of speaks to what I was talking about before, so really you got to be on the same page together if you're doing a project together, and that goes outside of those four walls, then it goes to whoever you're working with. I don't care, and keep the friends out of it as far as doing the construction. Don't hire your brother-in-law, which my sister, asks me questions all the time. But, you've got to go.
Absolutely.
And you have to have the hard conversations, and you can't always have that with someone that's that close to you.
I would absolutely agree.
So, Paul, here's a new niche for you. Have your salespeople trained in, marriage counseling.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, you laugh at it, but we talk about it all the time. When the customer walks through after they're getting off this emotional roller coaster, you're either commission breath or you're the trusted advisor. And it's our job to take that commission breath first impression and serve them, and then become their trusted advisor to help them guide through this decision.
And if you see a divorce coming along, call A1 Best Movers, by the way, because they want to be able to assist whoever it is to be able to move out as fast as possible.
Yeah, those are fun moves.
If a remodeling,
it's like, no, you're taking the couch. Yes,
I just have a little candy dish in my office, and it has Valium in it, but it looks like little candy.
I know Rob always says that he flat out asks somebody before they buy a home or before they build a home specifically too, how their relationship is. So I mean, it's not an uncommon thing, So
that's just because he's looking for a girl.
How's your relationship?
Hopefully, Rob is listening in on that one. That's pretty good, actually. But you're right. I think everything that we do out there is a matter of finding a balance, and especially in today's market, whether it be Generation Y, Generation X, everyone's looking to find that balance, and it's important for us to go out there and to assist a lot of times individuals with that process. We joke about being real estate counselors or real estate, what Joe was saying, a therapist right there. But at the end of the day, it's all about finding a balance. Even when they come in, and I'll give you an example in our industry, they come in to get financing. What the lady wants to do and paying it off in 10 years and what the guy wants to do and having the flexibility to have ups and downs are sometimes two different things. And so you have to find those opportunities to sit down and say, well, what's your ultimate goal? Are you going to have a family, or, what are you looking at doing to buy a second home or a car, or whatever it might be right there. So, as always, time flies when we are having fun. If you want to hear any of our guests, you want to get any of the show, look us up on Facebook at Real Estate Rat Pack. You can also go online at realestateratpack.com, hear all of our old shows, listen to all of our individuals, and look at all of our great sponsors. Until next time, we'll talk to you soon.
And you've been listening to the Real Estate Rat Pack. The question is, who's Frank, who's Sammy, who's Dean, and who's the other guy?
Chris is Frank,
I'm
he's
Dean.
Dean, and I'm Sammy.
Yes, right. Yeah.
So tune in to the really big show every Saturday at 9 a.m. right here on 100.7 The Word, KKHT.